So today we're headed to Sicily to a farm that's growing olives in a place that really should be a desert. What they're doing here, well, it challenges a lot of what we thought we know about agriculture in really tough environments. And honestly, it might just give us a glimpse into the future of farming on a changing planet.
So that brings us to the big question, right? Is it actually possible to build a thriving green oasis smack dab in the middle of a dry, barren landscape? We're about to look at a farm that's doing just that, turning what could be a desert into something productive and beautiful. So, how on earth are they pulling it off?
Okay, look at this contrast. On the left, you've got the reality for most farms in this area. Really heavy clay soil, next to no organic matter, and a huge risk of erosion. I mean, it is a textbook recipe for failure. But then, you look to the right. That is the incredible result at the Agricasalicchio farm. It's this continuous patch of green. It's a system that doesn't just survive, it actually thrives, creating income and building a real future. So, what's the secret? Well, it's not some kind of miracle. It's actually the result of a complete integrated system where every single piece is designed to work in harmony to beat this incredibly harsh environment.
So, how exactly does this system work? Well, it really all boils down to three fundamental pillars. First up, they've totally reimagined how to manage the soil. Second, they're using a super modern approach to managing the plants themselves. And third, their strategy for water is just incredibly smart. Let's break each one down.
Okay, pillar number one, the soil. Because in this system, everything, and I mean literally everything, starts from the ground up. The foundation of this entire oasis is building a living, breathing soil. According to the agronomist who designed this project, there's one rule that is absolutely non-negotiable for success here. You must maintain a living grass cover on the soil all the time. This isn't just a nice idea, it's the absolute cornerstone of their entire strategy. So, what does that look like in practice? It means they've completely abandoned traditional tilling, plowing the soil. That just breaks everything up, leads to massive water runoff, and causes terrible erosion, a total catastrophe on these hillsides. Instead, they focus exclusively on mulching. This blanket of grass protects the soil, it builds up precious organic matter, and it stops those deep, destructive cracks you always see in dry clay. And they use some pretty specialized tools to do this. They've got a mulcher that cuts the grass with a mix of wires and chains, and it has these little wheels to make sure they get the height just right every single time. This leaves a perfect layer of plant material on the ground, which then breaks down into new organic matter. Then, just once a year, they use this tool called a mole plow to create a tiny drainage channel deep under the soil. It helps manage water without ever disturbing that precious surface. And the result of all this is just beautifully simple. When you build up that organic matter, it fundamentally changes how the soil behaves. It holds on to moisture, it stays alive, and most importantly, it stops cracking apart during those long, dry months. The whole problem of erosion, it just disappears. All right, so you've got a healthy soil as your foundation. That's huge. But what about the actual olive trees? Well, the second pillar of this system is all about rethinking the tree itself, designing it for maximum efficiency, not just because of tradition. This is a modern, high-density setup. They're planting around 550 trees per hectare using a method called the Zaragoza system. And that density, it's this perfect sweet spot for modern mechanized farming. So what in the world is the Zaragoza system? You know what? Think of it like this. They're just throwing out the old rulebook on how you're supposed to prune a tree. The goal isn't to create some kind of pretty traditional shape. No, the goal is to create a massive, efficient solar panel, basically a factory of leaves, as fast as possible. This helps the tree get balanced and start producing fruit way earlier in its life. This quote right here, it just nails the whole philosophy. The real power of the plant isn't in how you shape it with your pruning shears. It's in its ability to generate energy through its leaves. If you force it into a traditional shape too early, you're just wasting the plant's precious resources. And this is a huge change from the old school way of pruning, right? That often creates what they call productive voids, basically big empty spaces in the canopy where fruit could have been growing. Not only is that super inefficient, but the amount of hand labor it takes is just not affordable for a modern farm anymore. Okay, and that brings us to the final pillar. And this one is absolutely critical when you're farming in what's essentially a desert: water. And just like before, the approach here is all about being smarter, not just using more of it. The core idea here is really simple, but it's also profound. Success isn't about just dumping tons and tons of water on the trees. It is all about knowing exactly how, when, and how much to apply to get the absolute best response from the plant. So, how do they do it? They use a double drip line system for irrigation, but here's the wild part, the part that sounds totally backwards. They actually focus on controlled water stress. Yeah, they've discovered that plants that are just a little bit thirsty in a very carefully managed way are more balanced. And get this, in a lot of cases, they actually end up being more productive than the trees that get all the water they could possibly want. So, when you put all three of these pillars together, the innovative soil management, the super efficient plant design, and the really smart water use, what do you end up with? Let's take a look at the incredible result of this whole integrated system.
I think the most important thing to take away from all this is that it's not just about creating a pretty landscape. It's about building a system that actually works, a system that's sustainable, that's profitable, and that can be replicated. It's a functional, real-world model for success.
This picture just says it all, doesn't it? The land all around it is harsh, it's arid. Without rain, it turns back into a desert in just a few months. But the farm itself stands out like this continuous green oasis in the middle of it all. It's just an amazing testament to what's possible. Built not by luck, but with technique, vision, and a whole lot of consistency. And that really leaves us with one final powerful question. When you see a success story like this one, a green, profitable farm that is absolutely thriving where others are failing, you just have to ask, is this a blueprint for the future of farming? Not just in Sicily, but for all the difficult, arid environments on our warming planet?